Hey guys, it's Jacob, and in this video I've got 40 funny jokes for you. So if you guys would like to see more jokes in the future, make sure to subscribe to this channel because I release new videos every single week. And with that being said, let's have some fun. A man comes to see the doctor and says, "Hello doctor, you hear my voice is very low. And I kind of have a problem with that. Is there anything we can do to make my voice sound a little bit more normal?" So the doctor examines the man and says, "Well, you know, your penis is really big and heavy, and the weight of your penis is pulling down the larynx from the inside, and this is what makes your voice so low. So if we cut away like 8 inches, your voice will sound fine." The man says, "Yeah, right, let's do that." So the doctor cuts away the 8 inches, and 2 weeks later the man comes back to see the doctor and says, "Well, you know, I think it's great, my voice sounds fine, but my wife somehow misses the 8 inches, so I wanted to ask if we could put them back on again." The doctor answers, "Sorry, we've already thrown them away." Nicole Scherzinger goes to see the doctor. The doctor says, "Well, please get undressed." She gets undressed. The doctor says, "Well, that was my problem, what is yours?" Man goes to the doctor to do some kind of routine checkup. Comes back home in the afternoon. His wife says, "So, how was it?" The man says, "Well, I've got bad news to tell you. You know, the doctor diagnosed a rare illness, and he said that I can only have sex just 100 times more for the rest of my life." The wife says, "Well, that's truly bad news. I think we should probably make a list then." The husband says, "Well, I already made the list, but your name's not on it anymore, unfortunately." Your name's not on it anymore. The son asks his father, "Dad, why is my sister actually called Teresa?" The father says, "Well, you know, your mother really likes Easter, and Teresa is an anagram of Easter, and so we decided to give her that name." The son says, "That's interesting. Thank you for telling me, Dad." The father says, "Well, you're welcome, Alan." A man walks through the city, passes a red light district. Suddenly, a prostitute approaches him and says, "Oral sex, $50. The man says, I'm sorry, but I'm married." The prostitute says, "And so what's the problem with that?" The man says, "Well, my wife charges 30. The patient says, "Doctor, you know, I can't see blood." The doctor says, "Why?" The patient says, "Well, because I'm blind." So a hunchback comes into the bakery and says, "I would like a loaf of bread." The baker says, "Well, don't you want to swallow the other one first?" How do 2 emos greet each other? With open arms. A zebra comes to the photographer and says, "I would like some new passport pictures." The photographer says, "Well, black and white or color?" 3 guys are having a sleepover, and after watching a horror movie, they are so scared that they decide to sleep in the same bed. The next morning they wake up. The guy who slept on the left says, "You know, last night I dreamed that a beautiful woman was wanking me off." The guy who slept on the right says, "Oh really? I dreamed exactly the same." The guy who slept in the middle says, "That's interesting. I dreamed that I was skiing." So 2 women are talking to each other about their sex life. The first one says, "Tell me, do you actually tell your husband when you are coming?" The other one says, "No, I don't, because he doesn't like me to call him when he's at the office." Hey guys, Jacob's back with another doctor joke today. So the doctor asks his patient's mother, "Does your daughter always stutter?" The mother says, "No, only when she's trying to say something."
Hey guys, Jacob's back, and today I would like to wish all of you a very happy Mother's Day. Unfortunately, many British mothers can't celebrate this day properly because the age limit for alcohol is 18 and tomorrow they need to go back to school again. The mother tidies up her son's bedroom and finds 2 sadomasochism magazines under his bed. He calls the boy's father and says, "Look at that! What should we do now with our son?" The father says, "Well, I don't know, but I think probably we shouldn't slap him." A woman goes to a fortune teller. The fortune teller looks in her glass bowl and says, "Oh my God, your husband will die tomorrow." The woman says, "Well, I already know that. I'm just here to find out if they will acquit me." Want to hear a joke about pizza? Never mind, it's too cheesy. A blonde goes to the doctor because she has some pain in her sides. The doctor examines her and says, "Oh, you've got acute appendicitis." The blonde says, "Well, thank you for that compliment, but actually I'm here to get a medical diagnosis." Did you hear about the kidnapping at school? The teacher woke him up. The grandfather celebrates his 90th birthday. His grandson comes up to him and says, "You know what? I've got good news and bad news for you." Granddad says, "Well, it's my birthday today, so I obviously want to hear the good news first." The grandson says, "We invited a stripper for your birthday party." The grandfather says, "Oh, that's fantastic. So what's the bad news then?" The grandson says, "Well, you and her went to school together." I was watching a documentary about beavers the other day. It was the best damn show I've ever seen. The doctor says to his patient, "You need to stop masturbating." The patient says, "Why?" The doctor says, "Because I can't examine you properly." Hello, we are collecting donations for the local children's home. Just a moment, please. Brittany, Justin, could you please come? Did you hear the rumor about the jam and the butter? Well, I'm not gonna spread it. A man goes to the doctor and says, "You know, I don't really have a sex life at the moment because I'm sort of struggling to get a proper erection. I've already tried Viagra, but I'm kind of allergic to it. So I wanted to ask if you know any, let's say, natural alternative that I can do to get it hard again, yeah?" So the doctor says, "Well, there is something. You can eat 10 pounds of bread and then your penis will be like a rocket." So the man goes to the bakery and says, "I'd like to buy 10 pounds of bread." The baker says, "What? If you buy that amount of bread, half of it will get hard." The man says, "Oh, then I take 20. The judge asks the accused woman, "When you broke into the shop, what did you steal?" The woman says, "A can of peaches." The judge asks, "So, how many peaches were in the can?" "I think 7. The judge says, "All right, then this means you go to jail for 7 days. Suddenly the woman's husband interrupts the judge and says, "Oh, I think she also stole a can of peas." I'm hosting a charity event for men who are struggling to ejaculate. If you can't come, let me know. A guy walks into a bar and says, "Every lawyer is an asshole." Suddenly a man stands up and says, "Stop insulting me." The guy says, "Oh, are you a lawyer?" The man says, "No, I'm an asshole." Two blondes are talking to each other. The first one says, "You know, the driving test I had last week went really bad. Actually, I failed." The other one says, "Well, how did that happen?" The first one says, "I've got no idea. You know, we approached this roundabout and there was a traffic sign saying 30 on it. So I went 30 rounds. I left the roundabout and then the examiner said that I failed." The other one says, "Well, I guess you miscounted." Why do bees not go to church? Because they are insects. A man has got 3 daughters, 11 years old, 9 years old and 7 years old. He calls in the 11-year-old, takes his pants off and says, "What's that?" The daughter says, "A penis." The father says, "And what do you use it for?" "For fucking." The dad really gets angry, almost slaps his daughter and says, "You are 11 years old, your mind shouldn't be so dirty, so go to your room and stay in there for 1 hour." The daughter goes away. He calls in the 9-year-old, takes off his pants and says, "What's that?" "A penis." "And what do you use it for?" "For fucking." That dad really gets angry, says, "You are 9 years old, your mind shouldn't be so dirty, go to your room and stay in there for 2 hours. The 9-year-old goes away. He calls in the 7-year-old. Takes off his pants, says, "What's that?" "A penis." "And what do you use it for?" "For playing." The father says, "What? Why for playing? It's too small for fucking." Two fortune tellers are talking to each other. The first one says, "Last winter was really cold, I think." The other one says, "Yeah, you're right. It reminded me of the winter of 2043. Two blondes are talking to each other. The first one says, "Yesterday my boyfriend gave 20 red roses to me. I guess I gotta spread my legs for the next 7 days." The other one says, "Why? Don't you have a vase at home?" So, Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and a 7-year-old boy are sitting in an airplane, and the plane is about to crash, but there are only 2 parachutes on the plane. So Donald Trump says, "I'm the most intelligent man of America, so I deserve one of the parachutes." So he takes the bag, jumps out of the airplane. Joe Biden says, "I'm an old man, you're young. I've lived my life. I'm probably not going to win the election anyway. So take the last parachute." The boy says, "Oh, Mr. Biden, I actually think there's a parachute for both of us because the most intelligent man of America just jumped out of the airplane with my school bag." A blind man comes into a bar, takes a seat and says, "Guys, I know a brilliant blonde joke. You want to hear it?" The bartender leans over and says, "You know what? I'm 6'2". I weigh 220 pounds. I've got a black belt in karate, and I'm blonde. The guy sitting right next to you is 6'4", weighs 250 pounds, has got a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he's blonde. And there's another guy on the other side of the bar who is 6'10", weighs 300 pounds, is a wrestler, and he's blonde. Are you sure you still want to tell your blonde joke?" The blind man says, "Hell no, I don't want to explain it 3 times. A man asks his boss, "Could I please go home 2 hours earlier today? My wife wants to go shopping with me." The boss says, "Well, of course not. You have to stay here and work." The man says, "Oh, thank you, sir. I knew you wouldn't let me down." The chief of medicine guides the young student doctor around the new hospital. They walk into a room. The student doctor sees a patient masturbating. He asks the chief of medicine, "What's this guy doing?" The chief of medicine says, "Well, this man has a rare illness. His body constantly produces sperm, so he needs to masturbate, otherwise his testicles will explode." The student doctor says, "Oh, that's pretty terrible." So they keep walking, going to another room, and the student doctor sees a nurse giving a blowjob to a patient. He asks the chief of medicine, "Oh my God, what's going on there?" The doctor says, "Well, in fact, this patient has the same illness as the other one, but he has private health insurance." A blonde comes into a library and says, "The book I borrowed last week was the worst book I've ever read. It was full of names, but it was completely storyless." The librarian says, "Oh, then I guess you're the person who took our telephone book." A robber breaks into a house to steal a few things. Suddenly he hears a voice in the background. "Jesus is watching you." He turns around, but he can't see anybody, so he just keeps putting stuff in his bag. Suddenly the voice appears again. "Jesus is watching you." He turns around and he sees a parrot. He says, "Oh, was this you talking to me?" "Yes." "So, who are you then?" "I'm Humphrey." The robber says, "What? Humphrey? That's a strange name for a parrot, isn't it? The parrot says yes. But Jesus is also a strange name for a dog. I know a stupid person that sounds like an owl. Who? So, what does Donald Trump and a Christmas tree have in common? Both will be out in January. Okay guys, don't forget to subscribe to receive new jokes every single week. Looking forward to seeing you soon again.